And that wraps it up for today.
Have a good weekend, everybody.
That would.
We said we would do it every day. We didn't say we would do it for any amount of time.
Yep. It's kind of the day it's been.
Yeah, it's been that kind of a week.
Yeah. Well, if it would stop raining, I would also be in favor of that because I'm actually looking at water in my basement, which happens when it rains just an assload amount.
Yeah, we only get raw sewage in my basement, so I'm not quite sure what clean water would be like. But
slightly easier. Mostly, you just turn the dehumidifier on for a while, and if it's really bad, then you toss down a towel or two. It's not like it's flooded, but I mean, there's water, so it's annoying and whatever.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. But you know what? Here we are. Here we are on Noah's Ark edition of First Ring Daily. Did the show notes sync? Oh, yes, they actually did. So, Paul, I didn't realize actually how kind of a big deal this was when this was announced. I was just like, whatever. But apparently Google will just track you no matter what you do or say.
Not exactly. It's I'm having a weird echo, by the way, but as long as it's just me, I guess I'm okay. You're not getting an echo, right?
No, nobody else is complaining about an echo.
Oh, that's annoying. Well, anywho, yeah. So, this is the Microsoft playbook, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have like various settings. People click one, they think that's going to do the job, but actually there's this other setting that's in a different place that isn't clearly labeled. You have to do that one too. So I guess I sort of understand the reaction to this, but who turns this off? I don't understand. This is a primary benefit of a smartphone,
Yeah.
So, yeah, anyway, I guess if this is important to you, then what you need to know is there's this other option you need to turn off.
Is that the power button?
No, I don't remember the name of it, but it's like web apps and web something. Also, I guess I don't know. It's probably, I'm sure the Google Maps app is technically this type of app or something. It's not clearly labeled. So it's okay, folks, though. They quietly changed the language on a help page that no one's ever going to see anyway. It's clearly marked.
It's like updating a blog post 7 months after it was posted originally.
And not saying anything.
Yeah.
And being like, I had this right 7 months ago. I don't know why everyone's pressuring me so much.
It is. And then also on the, this one I find hysterical. Cortana, the glass Johnson & Johnson powered thermostat is getting a couple companions by the name of the Amazon one and then also the Google one, along with Cortana. I wonder if they had a little clawback there where they were like, well, you know what, maybe Cortana's just not the right one for this.
Maybe we actually want this to sell.
Yeah.
Cortana has been one defeat after another, right? There's the Harman Kardon Invoke, and Harman Kardon makes speakers based on the other assistants too. There's the the Alexa integration stuff, which is nonsense, right? It's never going to work well. This is the Apple playbook happening to Microsoft, where they're like, we're going to do this until we don't need it anymore, and then we're going to drop you like the bad habit that you are. And then there's this one thing that everyone was clinging to. Look, we got this Cortana thermostat no one's going to buy. And now it's going to run the other ones too. Because of course it is. You'd have to be insane to launch something that was Cortana only.
Yep. I tend to agree.
I'm sorry.
No, I mean, I fully agree. I mean, I think it's a very hard pitch right now to launch a Cortana only solution for probably just about anything at this point.
Not even a hard pitch. It's an impossible pitch. There's no way.
Well, look, if Microsoft came to me with $10 million and said, hey, Brad, install one of these, I would absolutely do it.
That's a high barrier to entry, though,
Yeah, let's be real. If they said $10,000, I'd do it, or probably even $1,000, I would do it. But
sure.
Yeah. Although maybe my bar would be a little higher because I know the cost to replace a home furnace and air conditioning all in one would be about $10,000. when you look at labor and all that stuff. So it would have to be something above that in the instance that this thing just fries my setup.
Yeah, yeah, like maybe a new car worth. Maybe I have to redo some windows in my house. That's going to be expensive. That kind of money.
Yeah, I could also go for some potential basement waterproofing. Why don't we just tack that in there?
Hmm.
And just, you know.
We all have a price, is the point.
Yes, we do. Some lower than others, depending on the task at hand.
Some people are more desperate.
And before anybody else asks, wanting to know where this wallpaper from, this is the Windows 10 wallpaper. I literally just searched right before the show, Windows 10 wallpaper, in the Googles, and that's what I came up with. So, if you're looking
nice
for
color version.
it is. That's somebody just took like the Windows 7 or Microsoft colors, I guess, but kind of like has that Windows 7 vibe thing going on here.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, maybe they could include that here in the last Redstone 5 or Redstone build.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we should just circle back to Threshold.
Wow, that's a blast from the past.
Yeah.
That was the Halo name, Threshold, right? That was from a Halo thing.
It's also from every flooring connection in every house. There's a threshold.
The threshold is what is holding up my project in the basement. That's the hard part. You need a special power tool to drive whatever they are, bolts or nails or screws or whatever, into cement flooring. It's not something you have in your toolbox.
Yeah, I actually have one, but only because when we remodeled our kitchen, we had to do exactly that. We had to put 2x4s onto a concrete slab. And did you get the one that involves gunpowder?
So my brother-in-law has this tool, and I'm going to borrow it. I have not borrowed it yet. Based on the quality of his circular saw, I expect it to, be musket-based and probably something that could explode in my face.
It pretty much is. What you do is, mine is like 18 inches long.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Please continue.
Yes, it's 18. It's about 18 inches long, and you put a nail in one side and it's quite literally a 22 bullet, but without the actual bullet.
Literally shoot it.
Yeah, and then what you do is you take a hammer and you smack the back of that thing, and it just shoots it right into the concrete. I put a lot of nails into concrete that day.
We had bought a nail gun, which is powerful for what it is, but of course the nails in the nail gun are kind of thin and they're probably under 2 inches in length. But I tried to use that to drive into the cement floor, and it was not successful.
Thus, they said, "How can we do this with gunpowder?" And they made it so.
Right. I need something slightly more explosive. Oh, here it is.
Yeah. And then we talked about this a little bit yesterday, but you did a pretty deeper dive, I should say. So ARM is saying the future chips to offer desktop class performance, but how and when is this going to happen?
So I think I talked to Ryan Shrout today.
Yep.
And I'm going to write this up. I think I got to think about the timing on this. Microsoft is supposedly going to get me a Surface Go at some point, but the whole week's gone by, and I'm kind of losing faith or an interest, frankly. I want to do kind of a Surface Go to NVX2, Qualcomm-based kind of performance comparison, kind of see where they fall. But anyway, in talking to Ryan, one of the things that came out is that Qualcomm, of course, bases their chips on the ARM, chipsets, and they make minor improvements. Apple, of course, has gone off in their own direction. They still do actually base the A series chips on ARM, of course, but they've done a much more dramatic customization for their own chips, and of course, to great results. Right? They've done really well with that. So Qualcomm does see the benefits of the stuff that ARM is talking about, and when you think about something like the Snapdragon 850, which is the system, the systems based on this chipset that will come out this fall, is not what ARM was talking about. They were talking about next year, actually very late this year and then next year and beyond. The Snapdragon 1000 is the thing that's based on that thing that ARM was just talking about. So basically, the 850 is going to be a minimal speed bump over the previous gen. It remains to be seen whether day-to-day it's going to be meaningful. I'm going to just tell you right now, it's not going to be. Anyone holding out for this 850 thing is going to be disappointed. It's not going to be what you want. But the Qualcomm 1000, which could arrive in PCs as soon as the very end of the year, more likely like CS timeframe and a little bit beyond, will be this computer. It will be the thing that can compete with a dual-core Core i5 laptop, and that's where it gets really interesting. The potential there is literally for a 200% speed increase over the current generations. Remember that the Snapdragon 850 is supposed to be a 30% increase. It's probably not going to be 30. So, but let's say it's going to be in the 20 to 30% range overall. It might be meaningless, in the sense that the 835 is so slow running on a PC. It may just not matter.
Yeah.
The other thing that I'll include in this article, and I'll just ruin it now because I probably won't write it for 2 weeks now, but is the notion that the weak link here in many ways might be Windows. And there's something that occurs in hardware that also occurs in software, and I talk about it a lot from a software perspective, which is that when you're starting with something simple and you want to make it more powerful or whatever, it's actually easier than when you take something that's complex and you want to make it simpler. And the problem for Windows is just the overhead of Windows. It's just a big thing, So a system like Chrome OS will probably benefit greatly from these advances, even more greatly. And an 850 or whatever will probably be a perfectly acceptable chipset on Chrome. On the Mac side, the Mac is a little bit like Windows, but the thing is, Apple took that system and made iOS out of it, and so they have that experience with, how do we make this work? And it's possible that the rumored A series, ARM-based Macs that might be coming in the future will likewise benefit from this transition. Like they'll reap all the benefits of the battery life and the connectivity.
Sure.
And then they'll still have reasonable performance. So it's kind of a sticky. It's one of those things. Like I really want this to work, but I think if you're serious about the ARM stuff and you want to run Windows on it, you should probably, I think next year might be.
You may not know the answer to this, but do you know, or Ryan might know, and I think this might be a safe guess, will the Snapdragon 850, would that support 5G? The next. I wonder if that's kind of like they're saying this is why you should use this chip over, say, the 845s, rather than performance.
Yeah, it's not 5G, so it is faster LTE. I don't remember the details, but the there are categories of LTE, and I think I don't remember. It's different between the 835, the 845, which is for phones, and then the 850. There are different categories of LTE that it supports, and so I believe technically the current generation supports gigabit LTE, but none of the computers that are out now actually goes that high. The 850 is faster. I just don't remember the details. So I think it's somewhere between, today's 4G and 5G. The 1000 maybe. I don't know. We don't know about that one yet.
They should just call it the T1000.
I like it.
I do. They might have some trademark issues there, but
yep.
Just a couple. And then an interesting question came up on our forums, and it's by JLTUV. He poses the question of, will Windows 10 ever hit 1 billion users? It's
I think the answer is yes. And the reason I say that is I think we are on the cusp. In fact, I think we're into it of what I think of as the last major Windows upgrade cycle. And it's all those businesses that are still running Windows 7 in particular. And Windows 7 support is running out, as we know, in January of not next year, but the year after. And this is the time frame now between now and then when this big upgrade cycle typically happens. And then the other thing is just when you look at the next 2 years, whatever has happened to the PC market, if the PC market doesn't drop any more than it already has, and I don't, maybe it doesn't. I mean, maybe this is where it kind of plateaus. We're still talking about 200 and something million computers being sold a year. Those computers all come with Windows 10 and are usually replacing an older version of Windows, and so that makes the Windows 10 count go higher. So, yeah, I mean, it's not going to happen by Christmas, but I bet it happens by the time support for Windows 7 runs out. So January 2020?
Yeah, I think that's what I was going to chime in with. I think that's if it doesn't hit by then, I would be quite surprised. But
I would too. I mean, because there's there are sales, of course, and there are upgrades and things, but there's this user base size, and there are differing numbers on what maybe that is, but it's somewhere between 1 billion and 2 billion PCs out in the world. And I know there's going to be some attrition, that people just won't feel the need to keep using a computer because the phone and the tablet does enough, or maybe they go Mac or Chromebook or whatever, but there's still like hundreds and hundreds of millions of these things. I mean, I don't see any way they don't get there.
Mm-hmm. So this is a very random thought that just jumped into my head. I've been waiting for them to at some point just potentially just transition away from the Windows 10 name, because at some point it doesn't really make any sense. And I wonder actually if it will be in January of 2020 that they do, because then there will only be one supported version of Windows available, and it'll be Windows 10, or they could just shorten and just say Windows.
Yeah, that was one of the big guesses around when Windows 10 was coming out, what the name was going to be and everything. It was like, maybe this is the time. And obviously they went with 10 for whatever reason, because they like skipping version numbers. But yeah, I agree with you. That would
It seems like a nice natural inflection point for Windows, and if we still have jobs, maybe we'll be podcasting when they make that announcement.
I can start a podcast called Windows Weekly, and it will still make sense.
That is the full coming of circle for that podcast.
Yep. What version of Windows do you cover? All of them.
Yeah, just Windows.
There's only one.
There's Windows, and then of course the interesting question right now is, what are they going to call Redstone 5? Is it going to be the fall creators update, or?
I bet they call it the October 2018 update.
I bet they do too, actually. If they come out with a silly gimmicky marketing name, I'm going to die a little bit more on the inside than I already am, because they started to move away from it, and then they're going to just jump right back into it.
They can't. You can't go from the April 2018 update to something nonsense. Like they can't. And because this one tracked a lot like the last release with regards to major new features and what the style of improvements they're doing, productivity focus, and so forth. I mean, God, I need something else to hit my head on a wooden table for. Please, just leave it alone.
Although they do have a semi-rich precedence for doing this, as they announced the Surface Pro and then the Surface Book 2 right next to each other.
Yeah, I know.
Although it would be kind of cute if they had the Surface to Go as the next iteration of Surface Go.
Wow. Not Surface Go 2, Surface 2 Go.
Yeah.
Interesting. I think it was Mary Jo mentioned the possibility they could call the next one just, what do they call it, like 2H18, kind of get a jump on that naming convention.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know, it just doesn't roll off the tongue. The October 2018 update is fine. It's easily recognizable. Even when you say something like Windows 10 version 1809, you're like, yep, got it.
Yep.
And then I stumble over this. I have to think about it. It's like 2H18. Like it doesn't come right out.
I agree.
Naturally,
I agree. But yeah. Yeah, I was going to say something snarky, but then it was like, yeah, but you know what, I don't want to say anything crazy, because if somebody's listening, like, oh, maybe Brad has a point. Maybe we should go back. No, just keep it very consistent every year, perpetually, please.
Yeah, there's no need for stupidity here.
So, what do you got going on this weekend, Paul? Anything fun?
I don't know. I've got a friend driving up from Tennessee on his way back to Boston, so they're going to hang out here for the night, I guess, or whatever. But no, I'm still. My wife was talking about this morning. Like, I'm still kind of out of sorts. Like, it's been a week, and I'm still. I hate that it's like this. I always sort of expected if I traveled more as I got older, you'd get used to it. Like you would get better at it, and that just hasn't happened. And I want to just feel normal, and it's been kind of a weird week like that. Maybe I'll get some sleep. I don't know. What about you, Brad?
Well, this is probably... My brother has speaking of borrowing tools, a gas-powered, like, I don't know the name proper of it. Like, you shove it down a pipe and it just, like, bores... It doesn't bore it out, but it just, like, cleans the crap out.
Yeah. Like a roto-rooter kind of thing,
yeah.
like a little robotic.
And so sometimes when we get water in our basement, it's because the downspouts are clogged.
Yep.
And so I'm thinking about texting him to see if I can go borrow that. The only concern is that it's supposed to rain again, because why not, all weekend. And I don't
really
exactly have the space to store this thing in my house for many
Right.
lengths of time.
Yeah, I still, we had the two sewer issues, and I still worry about it.
Oh, yeah.
I would like to. It would be expensive, I guess, but I almost want to pay a plumber just to come and, send the camera down the pipe. I just want to, make sure it's okay. I keep going down to the cellar with a sense of dread, like it's going to be all backed up again for some reason. I don't know why it would be, but yeah. Anyway, that's a good idea.
Yeah,
Maybe
we'll see. If it looks like it's going to be not so bad outside, then definitely going to do that. But the kid is in school, which means she comes home, and boy, was she cranky yesterday. So I picked her up from school, and then she was at summer camp, but summer camp wasn't really all day, and she was at pre-K last year, and she was really happy, but then she got in the car, and she's like, Daddy, there were no naps today.
That's amazing. She comes home with a book bag full of books.
Yeah, she's like, I've got to learn calculus by Tuesday.
Yeah.
So... All right. Well, if that's all we got today, folks, we should be back here pretty regularly, hopefully right up until Ignite. And if you're going to Ignite, we will be there. So definitely let us know. Otherwise, have yourselves a wonderful weekend, and we'll catch you right back here next time on First Ring Daily.